What if I told you there's a weed people pay over $200 a pound for? Or a forgotten plant that just got a boost from US tariffs? Or that investors have poured tens of millions of dollars into pond scum? This isn't a guide to farming or getting rich. It's about how ordinary-looking plants end up absurdly valuable. And the strangest one of all is still ahead. Put something in your mouth expecting heat, and instead your tongue starts to buzz. That's the reaction most first-time tasters have. Not spice, not flavor, but an electric, tingling numbness that lingers for minutes. Researchers traced it to a compound called hydroxy-alpha-sanchule, which vibrates nerve receptors in the mouth at a frequency close to 50 Hz. Almost exactly the frequency human touch receptors are built to detect. That plant is Sichuan pepper, and people have chased that exact sensation for thousands of years. Evidence places its earliest use in Western China as far back as the mid-4th millennium BCE, centuries before chili pepper ever reached Asia from South America. It appears in the Shijing, China's oldest collection of poetry, exchanged as a token of affection, and by the Han Dynasty, the women's quarters of the imperial palace were plastered with it for its fragrance. One particular variety never stopped being valuable. Called gongjiao, or tribute pepper, it was the variety emperors specifically demanded as tax. Today, sellers charge $20 for just 2 ounces of it, over $160 a pound, roughly 5 times what ordinary Sichuan pepper costs. And according to the people who source it, there's still more demand in China than there is supply. The plant even survived a stranger modern chapter. In 1968, the United States banned its import, worried it could spread a disease that threatens citrus trees, since Sichuan pepper is technically part of the citrus family. Inspectors spent years seizing shipments, and between 2002 and 2006, not one ever tested positive for the disease they were searching for. The ban was finally lifted in 2005. Not every plant with that kind of history gets remembered. Some vanish almost completely, and what brings them back can be stranger than how they disappeared. Centuries before coffee or tea ever reached this continent, something else was already keeping people awake. Archaeologists studying pottery from Cahokia in present-day Illinois found chemical traces of theobromine, caffeine, and ursolic acid inside beaker fragments dated between 1050 and 1250, the exact signature of a drink made from holly leaves. The plant that produces it doesn't grow anywhere near Illinois. It grows hundreds of miles south, which means someone carried it there on purpose. That plant is Yaupon holly. For generations, it held real ceremonial weight. Then it nearly disappeared, partly because of its own name. In 1789, a botanist recorded it in a London catalog as Ilex vomitoria, suggesting it made people sick. Researchers now believe the vomiting described in old accounts was a deliberate part of the ceremony. Not something the plant caused, but the name stuck, and likely kept people away for 2 centuries. It might have stayed forgotten if not for a 2025 trade fight over coffee and tea. When the United States placed steep tariffs on imported tea, one company built almost entirely on this native plant suddenly looked very different. Cat Spring Yaupon, a Texas producer, is now estimated to be worth over $24 million. $24 million, built on a plant that most landowners still try to clear off their own property. Not every overlooked plant disappears from memory like this one nearly did. Some stay in plain sight the entire time, and people walk past them anyway. Pull a weed out of your garden and you probably never think about it again. Except for one weed, which somehow ended up on a menu in New York City. In the late 1990s, the New York Times ran a piece on a strange new ingredient sweeping high-end Manhattan kitchens, titled "The Weed That's Wowing New York." Chefs were tracking down the exact plant that gardeners a few miles away were ripping out of their flower beds. That plant is purslane. In 1986, 2 researchers published a letter in the New England Journal of Medicine confirming it carries omega-3 fatty acids, a nutrient almost never found in a land plant. Years later, a Yale researcher found something even stranger. Purslane runs 2 separate systems of photosynthesis inside the same cells, a combination almost never seen in a single plant, calling it a kind of super plant. Today, specialty markets sell fresh purslane for as much as $35 for 2.5 ounces, or over $200 a pound, for something most people spend their weekends trying to kill. But being overlooked can happen in a completely different way. Some plants get noticed and dismissed. Others never get noticed at all. There is a plant that can double its entire size in less than 2 days. Whatever exists in the morning, there could be twice as much by the next evening. And yet most people walk straight past it. It floats on still water. easy to mistake for nothing more than scum on a pond. That plant is duckweed. People across Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos have known what it's worth for generations, selling it fresh in markets under the name water eggs. Western science took far longer to catch up. Early researchers actually believed it was unsafe to eat and dismissed it for years. Investors eventually caught on. A California startup called Plantable Foods has raised $57 million, turning duckweed into protein, backed by the venture arms of Kellogg's and Chipotle. A competitor in Israel has raised $47 million more, tens of millions of dollars, chasing a plant most people would scoop out of a pond without a second thought. But the strongest sign of what this plant is really worth has nothing to do with money. One species, Wolfia globosa, holds close to 48% protein by dry weight, nearly matching a whole egg, fast-growing and compact enough to feed people somewhere food can't easily travel. NASA has selected duckweed as one of the plants it plans to grow on the lunar surface as part of the Artemis program, to find out whether something this small and this overlooked could one day help feed astronauts millions of miles from the nearest pond. None of this was really about the price. The price was just the proof that something most people walk past, pull out of the ground, or scoop out of a pond can be worth more than anyone assumes. The real question is how many other plants like this are sitting in plain sight right now, worth a fortune, simply because nobody's bothered to tell their story yet.